Yeah.
Can you see the countdown?
Let's
2,
do this.
1.
The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. We're still getting this live thing down, Bruce. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here tonight with Bruce McCurdy. Welcome, Bruce.
Hey, David, how you doing tonight?
I am doing okay, Bruce. I got a new mic here. We'll see how this works. I want to welcome everyone here who's turning in now, hopefully, to. You're probably as deflated as we are right about now. That was a really tough loss. Heartbreaking and backbreaking at the same time for the Edmonton Oilers. 1-0 to the Winnipeg Jets. In a game that I honestly felt the Oilers outplayed the Winnipeg Jets and deserved the win. But that's not how hockey works. It doesn't go that way. It goes to the team that outscores the other team. Any general comments, Bruce?
Yeah, frustrating as all get out, David. That was such a tense, intense game to watch, and it was, the Oilers started out very poorly again, and Mike Smith held them in for the first 10 minutes of the first period. And then from there on, the Oilers stabilized, and I thought generally thereafter took the game to Winnipeg pretty hard for the most part. And Winnipeg just hung around, and Hellebuyck hung around, and between um, various uh, parts of various Jets' anatomies, pucks weren't getting through, passes weren't getting through, shots weren't getting through to the net. There was a couple of miraculous shot blocks by Winnipeg defenders, number of great saves by Hellebuyck, and an utter inability by Edmonton shooter to get a puck up under the crossbar, which is where this guy is most vulnerable. And I don't think they got a shot. That didn't seem to be that they got any more than halfway up the net all night long. And if they could have got one right up under the bar, I think that's where they can score on this guy. But they just weren't getting their shots there.
Yeah, you got to put it up high where Mama keeps the cookies.
Mm-hmm.
Did not happen, Bruce. This is our two good things, two bad things, and two numbers podcast. And why don't we segue right into your good thing, because it's kind of what you mentioned, the change in the game dynamic after the first period. What is your good thing?
Yeah, it's basically how Edmonton snapped back from that brutally slow start. We had it by our own count of scoring chances, grade A scoring chances, 6-1 for Winnipeg in the first period, including 5-0 in what was it, the opening 7 minutes, maybe
Yeah,
8 minutes of the first period. Yeah, 13:28 was the fifth one, and that 6 minutes and 30 seconds into the game, and from there on, uh, it was 1-1 for the rest of the first period. Oilers outchanced the Jets 6-1 in the second period, 6-2 in the third period, and officially we had a 0-1 in overtime. Even as Edmonton outshot the Jets 4-1 in overtime, but of course the one. And it wasn't even from a grade A position, but because Mike Smith couldn't see it, we did award it as a grade A opportunity and a goal because Edmonton's two defensemen couldn't do what all the Winnipeg guys had been doing, which was block the damn shot. And instead, what they did was block their goalie's view of the shot. And what a shitty way to lose that game on a goal like that. At
oh
least
god,
you'd like a good clean goal, and I guess it was clean. I mean, it was a shot and it went into the net, but holy moly,
yeah,
junk, junky goal.
I knew it was coming because I
Oh.
I had to take a break. My wife came home with the groceries. I had to put away the groceries for 10 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
so I had to take a little break there. And by the time I came back and I looked at the score, it was 1-0. And like
Mm-hmm.
honestly, my heart just felt broken in that moment. It was just brutal, brutal. Bruce, my my good thing in this game is Leon Draisaitl.
Mm-hmm.
He led the team, and he just played great. He brought his A game tonight, and right from the start, he came out and McDavid came out. They were playing well, and they Darnell Nurse for a couple outside shots on their first shifts. And his first grade A chance, he gets the puck out of the air and he gets a little breakaway in on Hellebuyck. And Hellebuyck, that crafty guy, the goalie we've never seen before, but the other fans in the league are all too well aware of. He poke checks Draisaitl in tight in the first period. In the second period, he sets up Nurse. Nurse is charging into the Winnipeg, and it's a great end-to-end rush a little bit towards the end of the second period. Takes the puck all the way down the ice and kind of spins and puts a shot on net. And this is like in terms of like moments where like you're just wishing the Oilers had better puck luck. Got to break somehow. Jabs at the puck, and then it further and to the side a little bit. And yes, Puliarvi comes in and gets an absolutely, like, it's just, how did he not score kind of moment for both on that scene. But they didn't score. Hellebuyck stopped them. The next one, it's on I think it's on a 4-on-4, and he does kind of a drop pass to McDavid, who sets up Barrie, puts it on off the goalie's mask. And next his grade A chances all come on the power play after that. Finally, Bruce, he gets off his slashing one-timer, which I call the, and drive, and somehow Hellebuyck gets chance where he could put it in, and he couldn't get it over Dylan DeMello. Couldn't find the twine. And shortly after that, though, on the 5-on-3, Draisaitl another executioner shot, and just a great Hellebuyck's pad is just firmly on the ice and stops Draisaitl's blistering shot. I thought Leon was going to score. I thought he was going to break through tonight. Not to be.
He would score too. I thought he had an outstanding game. Very fine passes, smart plays. I thought that he, played a sound defensive game. Won some draws on the penalty kill when they always had to kill a couple penalties early in the game. Had a good night in the circle. 20 and 12 for team best 63%. But it.
Yeah, just couldn't get it. Bruce, let's move on to your bad thing. Are you ready to go on that?
I'm getting an error message here, David.
Oh, I still see you. What does it say on your side of things?
It says your computer is not allowing Riverside to record. Please refresh to continue recording.
Oh,
that's not good.
Okay, well, refresh your screen there.
Yeah, I've done that.
Just now? Okay.
Yeah.
Refresh. So that means you have to kind of shut it down and then come back, Bruce, to the same link.
Okay.
Go to your email and see some. Waiting for Bruce to return.
You there?
Yeah. Are you back, Bruce? You're back. Good.
Okay. Sorry, folks.
Boy, that was a.
Let's see what the hell happened that time.
If that was Skype, we would have been fried because you're just done. But hey, yeah, I'm there.
Okay. Well, hopefully the recording will work. But in the meantime, we got a live audience to make even unhappier than they are already with the way this is going. But what can we do?
All right. People are saying they can see us.
Good.
Lots of unhappy comments. Louis Houle says the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and hoping for different results. Tippett is borderline crazy. There we go.
Which same thing? Like he last game he put McDavid and Draisaitl on separate lines. Tonight he put them on the same line. So that's not the same. I mean, he did put them together in the third period the other night after they fell behind, and he stuck with that. But
Skylark says leading scorer, second leading scorer. This is very embarrassing for them. Geez. I mean, Draisaitl had such a great game. Connor McDavid, he has yet to break through. He's yet to bring his A game in this. He came closer that game. I would say that's like his B plus game. He was in on 4 grade A chances, but I don't think, you know, might be nice for one of the help out a little bit. Okay, Bruce, what's your bad thing?
Yeah, bad thing.
Do you want me to go?
Yeah, you go first. Sorry.
Well, since people are mentioning Tippett's lines, I didn't. I liked the first line was fine. Like the first line, there was a period where Scheifele's line was outplaying them in mid first period to mid second period. I'm starting to think, what's going on here? But the McDavid line came on. It had good moments early. It was strong throughout, and was it just started to feel like the Oilers are going to score in the third period. They're going to win this game, and that was largely on the backs of McDavid, Draisaitl, and Puljujarvi. What I didn't like, Bruce, is when you go to that line, and he's got to know this. Nugent Hopkins you're asking too much of Ryan Nugent Hopkins to be the driver of a line. He is not that. I mean, he had some good moments on the PK, 3 clearances, but Cahoon, RNH, and Yamamoto. Who thought? Like, they didn't have that great success in the regular season, Bruce. That wasn't a line that outscored, and they played mainly against the Vancouver Canucks. I think they had one good game where they looked good against a banged up, injured, demoralized Vancouver Canucks team. What were they thinking? I guess maybe they were thinking the RNH line will hold them even, won't allow a goal against, and that's what happened. Maybe that's what they were thinking. We'll just win this game on the backs of our first line. I don't think they needed to change the lines after the first game. In fact, I was relieved when I heard earlier today a little misdirection, I think, from the Oilers, that the Oilers were going to keep the same lines. I thought that was a good idea. I thought those lines could come through and help the Oilers win this game. So I don't. Obviously, that top line is great, but like, why not even put Yamamoto on the top line? That's the 81% solution. 81% goals for at even strength this year. That group, 13 goals for, 3 against with Yamamoto, with Draisaitl and McDavid, and put a bigger player at least, Puljujarvi, who is more of a puck carrier and more of a driver of the puck himself, with Nugent Hopkins and Cahoon. So that line, it doesn't make a heck of a lot of sense to me, Bruce, frankly, and so I'm a little down on the coach for that. I also didn't like they benched McLeod, Cahoon, and Chiasson in the third period, shortly into the third period, and then they didn't play again. They didn't play for about 20 minutes, and then they got out there, and they weren't responsible for the winning goal against. In fact, they almost scored the winning goal when McLeod set up Chiasson, but he was too slow getting off his shot. I guess I'm okay with him playing that line, because it could have been a long overtime, and you could run your players into the ground, but I'm not like, why bench them that long and then play them? Like, what changes?
Yeah.
What changes, Bruce, in that moment? I guess everyone's getting tireder is what changes. Everyone's more fatigued, so that's what changes, and you put them out there. But I'm going to put that in the iffy category. But I think it was just a plain mistake to go with the Nugent Hopkins line as formulated in to get it done, to do the heavy lifting when there's, and I think that was on the coach.
Yeah, James Neal got some time with those guys in the third period, I noticed. I haven't had a chance to look in depth at the amount of time that he played there, but I did notice he got some shifts there, and it was like Cahoon got tied to the bench, and McLeod did. If Chiasson did, it was after the power plays, because he was involved in the power plays, and one of my bad things from this game is Alex Chiasson's bad hands. He had some nice chances that all he needed was contact with the puck in tight, and chances were pretty good it was going to go in the net, and his hands let him down 2 or 3 times on good chance. He was in the right place, which is something he's very good at doing, but he could not execute a tap in or a shot or whatever, and it was not Alex Chiasson's finest hour as an Oiler.
No, that after that Draisaitl shot, he was just stymied in that first really great one timer. He was in the slot with him, just stymied. Here's from Steve Dillon, who says, "quote The team played well 2 games in a row and lost because of a few weak goals. Let's hope the hockey gods even stuff out." And I'm not crestfallen, Bruce. I think they could easily go into Winnipeg and win the next 2 games. The Oilers have been slightly. I think they were slightly the better team in game 1, and I think they were the better team in this game. So just keep that up, and maybe you'll get some wins in Winnipeg where you need them, because it's come down to some freaky goals, and things could easily bounce back fast. So I have some faith that they're gonna get some wins. You just never, like, it's close enough that you can't be certain of anything, but have had the slight edge in play. So this is Chicago series last was just so unbelievably horrible in so many ways, where they were playing a clearly inferior team and they couldn't beat them. These are 2 pretty good teams and 2 very close games that have been decided on, as Steve Dillon says, some weak goals. Okay, Bruce, my second bad thing is Barrie's defensive play tonight, Bruce. And I'm just a little alarmed that a veteran player makes so many mistakes. And the first one came where they were just really lucky not to have a goal against. This is probably Mike Smith's best moment, or one of them. It's off a face-off in the first period, and the Oilers, the puck goes to the side, and Barrie gets it. It's on his stick, and he kind of, it looks like he's going to pass it to Nurse, and then all of a sudden he doesn't pass it, and he kind of half takes the man, but he doesn't really take the man. And Nurse is kind of then caught out because he was expecting a pass, and the puck's all of a sudden off a face-off in your own zone when you have a defensive face-off, and you have a defensive structure and rested players, and everyone knows their assignment. And a moment later, their most deadly scorer is in front for 2 break-in chances, Kyle Connor. And how Smith stopped the second one of those is, well, Connor didn't take enough time to ice it. He had more time than he thought, which is why I think he was so upset with himself. But that was on Barrie, largely, and Nurse to some extent. We move on, and later in the first period, there's a breakout. This is the 4-on-4 situation when the Oilers had, it was just before a power play was to start for the Oilers. Kara was coming out of the box, and the Oilers had 3 forwards and Barrie on the ice at that moment. Draisaitl, RNH, and McDavid, and they all they're all partly culpable, but Barrie does his starfish. He's deked, and Kopp gets a dangerous shot on net. In the second period, I think this is then. Yeah, the second period. About halfway through, Kyle Connor, he breaks in, and we get Tyson Barrie playing the Matador defense, waves his cape. Kyle Connor's by him and gets a really dangerous backhand shot on Mike Smith, which Mike Smith saves. Finally, late in the second period, just actually about 3 minutes to go in the second, they break in again, the Jets, and break into the slot, and Barrie allows the pass, and there's kind of a scrambly play. I think it's again Connor shooting, if I'm not mistaken, and Mike Smith makes the poke check in the crease. So we're lucky these weren't goals against. He's lucky that he hasn't been out there as the main culprit on 2 or 3 or 4 goals against in this series, based on the quality of the chances that he's allowing as a defenseman. And like, I heard he was I heard he was going to crank it up in the playoffs, and I Any thoughts?
Yeah, I hope to see it next game. Oh. Yeah, I can. I hope to see it next game, too. There's a few things I hope to see next game. A freaking goal would be nice for starters. Jeez.
All right. What is your next bad thing, Bruce?
Well, it's got to be the game what I refer to as the game-losing goal against. From the other team's viewpoint, the game-winning goal. But this was the goal that put Winnipeg up 2-0 on in the series, and it really was pretty much a nothing play. It was the little used McLeod, Cahoon, Chiasson line in the offensive zone, and Chiasson was in the corner, and Cahoon also committed up into that corner, and neither of them was able to prevent the breakout pass that brought Winnipeg up the ice. Ryan McLeod, he did take a pretty good defensive position, and he kind of turned it into a 3-on-3. Chiasson went for a change. Cahoon caught up in the neutral zone, overtook the defenseman who might have jumped up into the rush. And Paul Statsny pulls up by the boards, and he just lets fly an outside shot, and it goes, I think, through the shin pads of Dmitry Kulikov. It may have ticked one of the pads on the way through. And it goes right through the screen of Adam Larsson, who I don't know what he's doing, standing right in front of the goalie. Like, he's not really covering a position. He's not covering a man. He's just blocking out the sun, doing a great job of screening the goalie. And Smith was deep in his net and a little bit off his post. And whether the shot was deflected or I just think he just didn't see it until it was right in on top of him. And by the time he reacted, it was by him and in the net. And just some poor defensive structure from your shut down defensive pairing to, those guys are there to play defense, to stand up and play the shooter, and not screen their own goalie. And now this is 2 games in a row where a very routine looking 2-on-2 rush has resulted in a goal against because of just either miscommunication between them, or I think the one yesterday, more of that. Tonight it was just a matter of, if you're going to get in the shooting lane, block the damn shot, and it didn't get blocked. So that was a game, and now they're really up against it.
What do you think their chances are, Bruce?
What is it, about 80% for the team that's up 2-0 in a series? So 20% is, the flip side of that. I think off of what I've seen that, they've been carrying more than their share of the play, but now they're going on the road, which is, on the season, they've been good on the road. They won 4 out of 5 games in Winnipeg this year.
Yeah.
And 19-7-2 overall, I think tied for the best road record in the league. Well, now they're going to have to do it on, back-to-back games, Sunday and Monday. Obviously you got to win one, and ideally you win 2 games to come back in the series. But it's a tall order when you've got when you're relying on a small number of core players who've already put up a horrific number of minutes, right?
Yeah.
So
even tougher because apparently interference is now not a penalty in the NHL.
Wow.
There is lots of interference from the Jets, not called all game long. Maybe it was just as bad from the Oilers, but I noticed when the Jets were doing it, and then that play where Puliarvi was hooked in the slot. Sheesh. Some people are saying there's lots of suggestions about putting Bouchard in the game. Dan Ficca says, to think Bouchard is sitting for these D. And then Norm Camp says, free Bouchard. It's that simple. And I have to admit, that thought, watching Tyson Barrie, that thought occurred to me. Well,
that's not going to be happening at this point.
That is not going to be happening.
And I understand. Like I've had some interaction with Dan Ficca. I know he likes young players, and he doesn't seem to like veterans very much at all. But coaches like veterans. They have their reasons for liking veterans. Tonight there may be a couple of reasons for the coach to not like a couple of his veterans, and I'll be surprised if we see the exact same lineup for Game 3. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
But it's the likelihood of Tyson Barrie, the top scoring defenseman in the league, who did have some good offensive moments in this game, I thought, on the cycle and so on. Like, that 5-man unit really started dominating play in the second half of the game.
Yeah.
And they had a huge advantage on shot shares. For Barrie, 32 to 21 in shot attempts, 18 to 12 in shots on goal. And, that, I mean, they carried the play when they were out there. And of course, a lot of that credit for that goes to the forwards. But the fact is that 5-man unit, the fact that all with the puck is a huge part of what leads to the pressure on the cycle. And I don't know. You could play that game a few times over, and I don't think the Oilers will be getting shut out again in another trial. But they got shut out
Yeah.
tonight.
Wouldn't be surprised to see Devon Shore
Mm-hmm.
and Tyler Ennis get in.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to see a spot for Bouchard, but I don't think he's better than, he has his own defensive struggles, right? It's
Yep.
just not, it's not going to happen unless there was an
Mm-hmm.
injury. I thought Ethan Bear was fine tonight,
Mm-hmm.
and Adam Larsson was fine except for on the winning goal. He played a strong game, and they're not going to take Tyson Barrie out, so
No
you can't
chance. He's
you can't
played
have
58
Bouchard.
straight games. You're not going to take him out now. I mean, you're going to live
No,
and
no,
die with
no.
the guys that brought you here. Wouldn't be
Exactly.
fair to him. And, you ask Connor McDavid, hey, you want to take out Tyson Barrie and replace him with the guy who played 12 games or whatever? And he'd say, not a chance. They're
Here's
going to be confident that they're going to do it. And
here's a suggestion, Bruce.
mm-hmm.
Tyler Ennis replacing Neal. Someone saying Ennis, Kara, and Archibald were great this year. They were. That was the nitty gritty dirt line,
Yep.
and they had some really good games. And I could see Ennis and Devon Shore getting in the game, and maybe Cassie and Neal. Like I'm not sure that you need to. They got to score,
Yeah.
and they got to score, and maybe Cahoon might come out for Ennis. That might be a possibility, and maybe
Yep.
Shore would come in for Cassian. Cassian, he's not getting it done, Bruce. And this is 2 games now. He was out a month. This is 2 games. Didn't get it done. Didn't
Zero
close to get it
shots
done.
in the
Yeah,
series.
I would
Zero
I
shots. We
I
talked
would
about this throughout the year, how he
yeah I
doesn't
would
get shots on net.
yeah I would sit him. And if it was me, that would be my
Mm-hmm.
call. Put in Devon Shore. And put in Tyler Ennis maybe for Cahoon would be
How
two
about Haas for
roster moves.
McLeod?
Haas for McLeod as well. Ryan McLeod, they can't trust him. You can trust
Mm.
Haas because he's strong defensively. McLeod's not
Mm-hmm.
getting much done on the attack. Haas is better on the PK. He offers more, and he should be in the game at this point because the moment seems a little too big for Ryan McLeod.
Okay.
He's fading right now when he's got to rise up, and let's see what Gaetan Haas can do. So maybe we'll get to see all 3 of those guys come in and replace players who haven't been killing it. I don't think Chiasson will come out. He's just too integral to the power play, and I wouldn't. I
I'm
wouldn't.
sure.
I hope he doesn't come out because I just think he is a really good power player, and it hasn't clicked yet, but it sure could, and he could be a big part of that.
I'm sure reading lots of criticism of Chase Hahn's power play in the comments here, and I'll simply make the same case that I've made before, that the Oilers power play 3 years in a row, 3 years in a row, the best goals for on per 60 minutes. So the power play scores at the best rate when Alex Chiasson is on the ice. 3 years in a row. And he's
He
best at the. I mean, he's not the main man on the power play. Don't get me wrong, but when he's out there, they do better than when James Neal is out there or when Jesse Puljujärvi is out there. And maybe that's going to change in the future. And I have high hopes for Jesse Puljujärvi's role on that power play in the future. But coach likes his veterans, and he likes his veterans for a reason. And Chiasson brings lots of good to the power play. Unfortunately, great hands is not one of those things. If he had great hands, he'd be a $6 million player, David.
he's had good hands sometimes, Bruce. Like it's not like they're
Sometimes.
terrible. It's not like he can get it down, and yeah. So there's a lot
Depends
of
on the night. Some nights they got it. These a lot of these big guys. They have these they have the fast twitch muscles are going fine one night, and then the next night they just look kind of awkward. And that's certainly
yes,
Alex
uh,
Chiasson. But
yeah. A comment from
he,
Yessa.
mm-hmm.
We've we've been hella fracked. I'll say it that way. Hella fracked. We
Uh-huh.
have been. Let's move on. That just goes to my number, Bruce.
Okay.
So my number is 1 out of 20. The Edmonton Oilers have so far had 22 grade A chances on Connor Hellebuyck. They've scored 1 goal. Usually on 22 grade A chances, and a lot of these, I wish I'd totaled up the 5 alarm chances. Like the grade A chance has about a 25% chance on average of going in. So there's going to be some 20%ers in there, some 30%ers. But the 5 alarm chance is 33% chance. And the Oilers had all kinds. They had 5 or 6 or 7 5 alarm chances tonight. Usually you get 22 grade A chances. You're going to score 5 or 6 goals. 5 or 6 goals, Bruce. 5 or 6 freaking goals that we're missing right now. He's been the difference. And this is what we were worried about, that we hadn't seen the real Connor Hellebuyck in games against the Oilers. And now we're seeing it, and it freaking sucks.
He's not this good, David. He didn't have a 0.50 goals against average this year or any year, you know.
Fair enough.
We've seen the cold guy. Now we've seen the hot guy. I want to at least see the guy in between that's, you know, potentially beatable. I mean, he's been first star 2 games in a row. So that's
Amer says,
good.
Amer says, smashed my remote control. Thanks a lot, Oilers. What a letdown. SMH shakes my head. Is that what SMH is?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. It's not some horrible, dirty thing.
No, not yet. No, if you look it up in Urban Dictionary, you'll probably find an alternate meaning for it. That'll curl your toes.
Reg Buffett says, Chiasson has no hands, Dave. Come on. And CB says, let's be honest, Pulley has never been given an opportunity on first-line power play for an extended period. Can't compare him to Chiasson or Neal, which is a fair comment. And Pulley-RV will be probably on the first unit power play, either in Nugent Hopkins' spot next year or in Chiasson's spot. We'll see, but I suspect he will be. And Chiasson, when it comes to hard plays on the net on grade A chances this year, best player on the team was Alex Chiasson. These are the tips, jams, screen, battles won, hard charges in front of the net, like the dirty work. Best player on the team was Chiasson, and the second best this year was Jesse Puljujärvi, parent for that role. And I'm not against him being there, but you just can't argue with the. I don't think you can argue with the statistical analysis you just gave that. On the best power play in the NHL, it functions at its highest level when he's part of it. And that's not a coincidence. If you watch these power plays, go over the replays again and again, you will see what he does. He's like a machine. And, you know, I just think he opens up that passing lane consistently for McDavid to hit Draisaitl because he's always there. He's in exactly the right spot. It was like, remember when, for years, we would see Lucic out there and he'd be at the side of the net?
Yep.
Like, what are you doing at the side of the net? And
not screening the goalie.
Yeah, Chiasson is there. Like he is a big part of this. Anyway, I think we've made our argument.
He had a tough night tonight, and I like what he brings, but tonight he didn't bring his best game, and that's why I singled him out his performance as one of my bad things.
I gave him a 4 out of 10. Maybe it could have even been a 3 perhaps, but the effort's always there, so I give him credit for that. Bruce, what is your number?
I'm going to go with a string of numbers from defenseman Darnell Nurse, who in not much more than a regulation 60 minutes, because this game was decided after 4 minutes of overtime, he played 32 minutes and 53 seconds, literally over half of the game. With an average shift of 1:15. He led the team in shorthanded ice time. He led the team in even strength ice time, 27:46. He led the team in shots and shot attempts with 6 shots on goal, 12 shot attempts, a couple hits, couple giveaways, 3 block shots, and by our count of contributions to grade A, scoring chances, 5-4, 2 against. And Darnell, who I didn't think had his best game in Game 1, played his heart out in this game. I thought he had an excellent game. Even those 2 scoring chances against, they were both on those 2 Kyle Connor chances. After Barrie kind of sucked him out of position, he saw Barrie looking to tap the puck to him, and he peeled out of the lane to receive a pass, and then the pass didn't come, and then there was nobody left to cover the front of the net. But He charged the net and had two or three really good chances. And I love the one where he came in from behind the goal line and pulled it out onto his
Yes.
backhand and tried to go to the far corner. If he could have got that up a few more inches, it was in. But he basically hit Hellebuyck's glove. And he put it inside the far post, but he just didn't quite get it upstairs. But defenders, they don't necessarily work on roofing backhands from the edge of the blue paint. So he didn't quite make the play, but he made an excellent play. He just couldn't quite finish it. I thought he was strong, and he played a ton, and he did everything he could, and just wasn't their night. But he sure puts up the crooked numbers. He's a very proactive player, and jumping into the rush, which he did constantly, and into the cycle. He must have skated about 30 miles in this game.
He weighs 115 pounds right now. JT says
38.27 kilometers, my bad.
JT says Nurse was a beast. And Bruce, I have just discovered something that I am able to. If you're a commenter and you are making obscene comments about Oilers players, and I figured out now that I can block you. And whereas Bruce is gentle and doesn't block a lot of people, that is not my game. I block people who are rude and make obscene comments. So I've already done so. So just most of you guys, everyone, the men and women who are commenting here, the Oilers fans are commenting. You're outstanding. I want to make that clear. It's a great conversation. But there is a few commenters who are just here to troll and to make obscene comments, and you're out of here when I see you. So you've now had that warning.
It's late on a Friday night, and the Oilers just lost a very disappointing game in overtime. And there might be one or two people in there who are at least two sheets to the wind by now. Just guessing. And so sometimes that contributes to it. But poor behavior. I mean, let's we're Oilers fans here, people, saying nasty things or truly obscene things do not forward the conversation in any way.
Kazami says it really doesn't the Oilers number, and I disagree completely with that. I think
Yeah.
I don't think the Jets are lucky to. This should be a
It should
split,
be a split.
but
Yeah.
this should be a split. That would be fairness, but that's not how the hockey gourds work. So let's suck it up, but let's also not lose our heads and think this has all gone bad. It hasn't. This again, I don't have anywhere near the feeling I had against the Chicago Blackhawks, where things were just out of sync. The defensemen weren't playing well. Nurse never came close to reaching his potential. Clefbaum and Larsson weren't good. Bear struggled. This defense is actually playing pretty well and limiting the Winnipeg Jets.
Well, they
Generally
got three
speaking.
real goals in two games, right?
Yeah. So this is a really good Oilers team right now. And it should be 1-1, and if it was 1-1, we wouldn't be freaking out like this. So JT says, wish the Oilers could block as good as David. Laugh out loud. Oh. Bruce, what moves would you make, if any?
Yeah, I'd be tempted to switch a couple things up front. I mean, I think Tyler Ennis is one choice of a guy that does actually bring some offense that the Oilers clearly desperately need at this point. I mean, the bottom nine didn't come very close to creating a whole lot tonight, and if they're going to do all their eggs in the basket on the first line, it might help to have a guy or two who can break through down below. So he's one guy I'd be tempted to get in there. They're getting just I mean, obviously no goals from anyone, but the bottom lines aren't generating a lot of shots and chances really. And it's not that they're not playing hard; they are, but
Yeah.
they're just sawing off like.
And that's what Ennis can bring.
Mm-hmm.
Ennis can bring that. Like he creates chances out there. He's not a great defensive player,
Mm-hmm.
and he's a smaller player, but man, he can dangle with the puck and create chances. Dave Sawchuk says it could easily be 2-0 Oilers. It's that.
Well, yeah,
That's a fair comment. Like, yeah,
it
definitely.
could.
So, yeah, Someone had mentioned earlier, Bruce, about Tyler Benson. I wish he was here because I think he was ready this year. But anyway, that's didn't happen. So, and obviously not going to happen. Stick with the same defense, Bruce.
Uh, yeah. Well, it's hard really to say this player has stunk or not. Uh, the third pairing tonight, they got lit up a little bit on shot share. Bear shot attempts 8-4, 16 against. Actual shots 6-4, 9 against. So that slightly outplayed, but uh, again, if you wanted, I mean, Slater Cuckoo, like he's actually gotten involved in the offensive cycle a little bit and jumping up into the play and making some things happen. So if you think Ethan or Caleb Jones could do a better job of it than him, that would be the one. There's not any real reason to zoom Chris Russell into the lineup. It's not like they're leaking goals against and that many chances against. What they got to do on Sunday is be ready for the start of the first period, guys. I mean, tonight they came out and the first 30 seconds were okay, and then the next 7 minutes were a nightmare. And only after that did they start to get it together. So that, but that's not a change in the lineup. That's a change in approach and readiness. And Dave Tippett has his work to do in that department.
I would keep Cuckoo in the lineup. I thought he's been playing really well. He's
looked all right.
He's looked fine. He got once Kopp got in behind him on a pass, but he's been very solid defensively, and I think he's a bit more reliable at Jones at this point. And he's not a bad puck mover. He's not as good as Caleb Jones. Maybe they're going to try to get more offense and go with Jones, but I don't think they're going to make that change. I'd be really surprised. Chris Russell's an interesting thought, but I think they would prefer. I don't know if he's healthy for one thing, and I think
right.
Cuckoo's bigger, and he's a very reliable player. I didn't know much about him coming in. I think he's earned another contract. I've liked his play a lot, and especially if the Oilers lose a defenseman in the expansion draft. So, well, Bruce, any final comments that you have tonight? Any final thoughts?
I'm trying to find the. I credit the comment to the person who said the curse is Dave Tippett's beard. Somewhere in the comments, I came across it a couple times, but I haven't got the right person for it. And just to make our night complete, the Bakersfield Condors lost Game 1 of their best-of-3 series against the San Diego Gulls, 5-3.
I wonder if Holloway played. That would be something I'd like to,
to
see. Dave M says, I keep thinking of how Glenn Sather let it. If Tippett is the coach the Oilers need, they played like a afraid to lose. I don't know. I saw they came out a little cold and shaky.
Mm-hmm.
They came out a bit tentative, but I saw a team that was going for it, and really, in the final 2 periods, played fantastic hockey. I just was really happy with the Oilers, and they couldn't beat a great goalie. That's what happens in. They'll figure out a way to do that. Dave Sawchuk says both teams playing great.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Bruce. Go ahead.
Very first shift to overtime, one immediately took the puck into Winnipeg end and were all around the net with several if they any kind of a bounce the right way in the slot, maybe they score. And I mean, it was just one of those nights. I mean, the play of the game to me was the one where the puck squirted out to McDavid in the slot on the power play. Everybody, like Winnipeg, is down low. The defenseman that's closest to McDavid has his back turned to him, Dylan DeMello, and he throws his hands up in the air. If it was football, he would get called for pass interference, for shading the receiver. But this is hockey. He throws his hands up in the air, and McDavid hits him on the back of the wrist. Right, he shot it right over the entire pile, and DeMello just had this idea: oh, the top of the net's open. I better, incredible play. I mean, in retrospect, but
I
that
couldn't
was, I
believe
mean,
it,
that was
Bruce. I
at,
couldn't
at
believe
that
that
point. I
didn't
thought
go
that
in.
puck is never going to go in, is it? It turns out, yeah, you're right. It isn't. It's never going.
I couldn't I couldn't believe it. I just was flabbergasted. Like, how did that? It's like that doesn't have
Yeah,
like that's one of the there's the grade A shots, there's the 5 alarm shots, and there's like how the did that not go in kind of
yeah,
shots, and that's
yeah.
like that's just
That's
like
exactly the question
it's
I asked, David.
it's like a 75% shot
Yeah.
and 50% as it gets for a scoring chance and backbreaking. Well, heartbreaking, maybe not backbreaking, kind of backbreaking though too. Actually, it just hurt. Alrighty, Bruce. Do you see any comments? Anything else is you
Oh,
need
I
to put
think
it?
I've gone through it. I'm just looking for the name of.
If you're looking for
Uh,
the guy who made that comment, you'll never find it because there's so many
no, no,
comments.
I'm looking for our hotshot prospect, and I'm not seeing his name. It looks like he did not play tonight, Dylan Holloway.
Yeah, maybe they're just
So
out of abundance of
that's
caution.
that's that thumb isn't ready from the sounds of it. And
Yeah, Dave Tippett's beard. I don't know. I don't really have anything to say. It's not something that I focus on.
I wanted to see his mustache, but we never got that. See the mask.
Asks Stark Sealer, who's been the most disappointing player this series to you guys? Well, I think that's easily Connor Hellebuyck. I was I was hoping that he would be that 870 save percentage goalie that we're used to seeing. So I'm profoundly disappointed that he has not been that player. On the Oilers, it's Chiasson. I mean, he has not come close to making a useful contribution, and it's really disappointing. For you, Bruce,
Yeah, well, he was
most
like his
disappointing
effort
player?
was good, but his effort was good, but his the end result wasn't there for sure. So
Eddie C says Yamo has been disappointing. I would say Nugent Hopkins has been disappointing. He's just not. If this is a contract drive, I'd hate to see what isn't a
yeah,
contract drive. I mean, he's just really. Um, it's making me question, the whole idea of a long-term contract, honestly. But
and
seems
yet
to be where we're at.
Nuge of any order in this game, killing the second penalty in the first period. He made three different great plays in his own end to win the puck and clear the
He did.
zone and clear it down the ice right in a row.
Yeah.
Three great plays, one puck battles, took the puck, made a good play with it, got it out, got it down. He's got game, but his complete game is not in evidence right now because the offensive part of it is really shriveled up this year.
It makes me worried going forward. I mean, he's leaving his peak offensive years, and we've seen what's happened to other centers like Turris and Duchesne. It's kind of a little bit alarming, Bruce. Just a little bit alarming, I have to say.
Hmm.
And we'll see what happens. I mean, he does have moments. I still think he's a great complementary player. Can be. We just haven't really hasn't happened for him this year. Hasn't worked out. Even playing with players as consistently
Right.
as with McDavid and Draisaitl. So it's too early for us to get down in the dumps about this player or that player. This could change around fast. Just need a win on Sunday night, and we're all smiling again, right?
Well, that's right. And if not, well, we're going to have a longer off season than we hoped for to talk about changes to the team. But I mean, obviously, what happens in this series and in these playoffs is going to inform us, and it's certainly going to inform Ken Holland and Dave Tippett and Daryl Cates, for that matter, as to uh, what shortcomings are still there that are going to need to be fixed and how they might go about it and what they can do internally versus what they might need to look externally to do. So
And the good news is Evan Bouchard, Philip Broberry, Raphael Lavoie, Tyler Benson, Dylan Holloway, Carter Savoy. There are a number of really good prospects. Ryan McLeod, who are coming on here, and it's not like there aren't um, all kinds of players just waiting in the wings who could be in the top 4D or the top 9 forwards. some of them as soon as next year. So that's kind of cool. That's a different feeling than we've had on the Oilers. I mean, they've had these, super high draft picks, but I don't think we've ever had kind of waiting in the wings for a long time. This group of talented players, and if just half of them turn out to be top 4D or top line wingers, top six wingers, that's probably what's going to work out to be the case. It's still bingo for the Edmonton Oilers because they have all these other great players already. So, okay, I don't want to talk about next year. I'm not in next year country, Bruce. I'm in this year
Oh no,
country.
me neither yet. This series is not over,
It is not
and
over.
this is far from a post-mortem. It's a post-mortem of a disappointing loss in the series, but they've lost two of the two games. They need to lose two more. They need to win four more. So obviously the odds are against them, but it's not like Winnipeg has wiped the ice. It's not like it's St. Louis against Colorado, and you're just getting your ass handed to you each and every night. That has not happened. And as you say, it's on the flow of play. The series should at least be split, and it just isn't. So carry on, win the next game, and take it from there.
I think the Oilers have a 40% chance of winning this series, Bruce.
Wow.
I think they just need to get some breaks, and they're going to get them. It's going to come. So that's my prediction. It's not a coin flip because Winnipeg, the teams are even enough that Winnipeg still has the edge, but I like the Oilers' chances.
I'll say 25%, but that's a long way from zero.
That is. Some people are saying it's over, but it ain't over. It ain't even close to over. And this happens where teams can lose. There is no home ice advantage right now in the playoffs, for one thing.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to have the sea of white in Winnipeg. They're going to have an empty arena,
In
just
2000,
like here in Edmonton.
in 2006, and the Oilers lost the first two games to San Jose Sharks, 2-1 and 2-1, as I recall, were the scores. And they came back to Edmonton. I mean, they started in San Jose. They came one game three in triple overtime, and right up until the very moment that they scored, Horkoff scored on a centering pass from a minus a tooth Ryan Smith in the third overtime period. And right up to that moment, they were looking down the barrel of a sweep, and from there, everything rolled Edmonton. Next, basically four in a row after they'd fallen down. They won that series in 6 games. It's anything's possible in this darn sport.
It's just such a strange game, eh? It's the game that best compares to it, of course, is European football, which is even more controlled by luck than hockey because there's that much fewer goals. But hockey's next in just a low event sport where one bounce, one moment, one bounce, two screens of your veteran shutdown defenseman of your goalie, and it's all over. Even though you've played a really great game and maybe deserve better. So, Bruce, let's I think let's sign off now.
All right.
It's good talking to you.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, everyone.
And in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.